Greetings, everybody. Welcome. Depending on which channel you're on, you're either on Windows Raw Gamers or you're on Quite Cool.
Quite cool.
Indeed. So we are going to be collaborating. So we cut our teeth in YouTube by making predominantly MESBG terrain and converting miniatures. And so we are going to list what we think from a hobbyist perspective is our favourite armies to do conversions to. Let's talk about the kind of criteria of what our heads were like going into it. I coined a term in my head, bashable. What's the most bashable army? Bashing the bishop, and I kind of just rated them on the bashing scale. So what did you look for, Jake?
Mine was accessibility based on how easy it is to get the models or how cheap. Top tiers I go, the more accessible they become, using easy to get or replace models you can't get anymore. Accessible, that's my buzzword.
For my one, the general themes are a couple of things to varying degrees. It's evil. Not all of them, but some of them. I think that a lot of them are fairly accessible to call a wise man, and two, singular kind of armor patterns, if you like, recognizable shapes and silhouettes that you can easily duplicate or modify, determine on what you need. There's a few of those that kind of repeat, and my kind of number one is, I think, the kind of combination of those two things.
The pinnacle of bashing.
The pinnacle of bashing. Do you want to go with your number 5 and why?
My number 5 is Angmar. So I was kind of looking for a nice evil one, because they, as I said, are nice and conversion-y, bashy. But also, because one of the main, I'm not a meta player, but you got Gulliver now, who's probably shot right up in price on eBay. So you might as well make your own. You might as well put blood, sweat and green stuff into it. But even just the units as well. So you got Wild Riders, the captain, he's not a model, so you make your own. And there's my Wild Rider captain, because there's this orc who's already got a nice breadage.
Yeah.
So you can just put him right on a warg.
Very nice. Bow-legged.
Yeah, there's a nice bow-legged. Yeah, that's a good. Yeah. Although this guy specifically, I did break off his leg and couldn't find it again. He's got a nice Gondorian leg.
Oh, that was nice of them to amputate it for it. How's it?
Yeah,
worked well?
where did that go? You put it down and go, oh, I'll remember to glue that back on.
It happens all the time. That's a great number 5 to fair. My Angmar sort of go further up, so I don't have to talk about them now or not, but I'll second that. I agree with everything you said for Angmar.
Nice.
But what I'll add is the special rule. I think it lends itself to kind of spooky boy orcs. So I think my Angmar has I gave some kind of shields that were from Black Numenorians to make them look a bit spookier. But also another great thing as well is another staple of the army is the Dead Marsh Spectre. They're very handy. They're good in the meta, as far as I'm aware. I'm not a particularly competitive player, and the great thing about them is two great things really. The official models look good, but they're from the Last Alliance, so you could multiply them by getting a Last Alliance sprue or a Mordor Orc sprue and zombifying them, which could be quite quick and easy, but ultimately quite effective, both monetarily but also in terms of diversifying your poses. And also, I did a video on making Dead Marsh Spectres from the kind of Angmar region because it's so far away from the Dead Marshes. So I think I made a little Dwarf Traveller, an Angmar kind of Noble, and a kind of Arnorian Ranger as Dead Marsh Spectres as well to pad on my troops. So the kind of possibilities really, if you go through that theme, are kind of endless. I don't know how to spoil it.
The freedom of it.
So my Number 5 is on that theme of a centralized kind of unifying armor, because it's such a great starting point to convert out to. So I chose the Easterlings. So I know my brother's working on an Easterling army right now. I didn't put it in until I saw some of the sprues and how great they were. That cataphract sprue is amazing. It comes with like 24 different swords, 2 dead bodies, 2 banners, 2 sets of drums. It's just 2 billowing capes. There's so much stuff in there that you can diversify in. The thing I've kind of made, if you like, that I've only shown a tiny bit in a video before, is Kamul the Easterling. I did a kind of footer mounted version, and what sold him is because it's a mixture of the Games Workshop miniature essentially, and the kind of vibe you get from the Hobbit when he's in Dol Guldur, with the kind of goat horns. I used some goat horns from a Goblin Town sprue, just random goat horn skull, and an Easterling helmet. Just cut the face mask off so you can still see the kind of void in the hood, and that sold it as a ring wraith, but recognisably Kamul from that area. So I think it's a very unique armour style, and it can just be something that's recognisable. You can just stamp it across an army, if that makes sense. So Easterlings are my number 5 pick for that reason.
Nice. My number 4 is Minas Tirith. Nice standard warriors where you can just use them as a base. So you throw a cape on it, pick a captain, change his arm, add a bit more, make the Citadel Guard, add a bit of wings things on there, like a bit of intricacies, but all just from that base model where they're probably very easy to get on eBay, they're very accessible with the battle host sets and the Osgiliath. I've got so much Gondor in my pile of shame that I can probably sacrifice a few of them, which I have done before. I've done for the dead body. I'm like, there you go, you'll be dead. I can cut off your head, use them in.
Yeah.
They're not like easy access.
Absolutely.
Accessibility.
Yeah, they're one of those kits. They've been around for so long, since 2003 or something, maybe. Yeah, I agree totally with what you said. It reminds me of what I said about the Easterling. That same thing, that Minas Tirith thing. As well as also the so when Games Workshop don't make models, that's an opportunity to bash, and there are certain models or configurations that aren't made for Games Workshop. So things like Citadel Guard mounted, I made a few of them ages ago. I need to update the paint job, but yeah, there's a few that I made, and they're fairly simple, but they look quite cool because I think of how bashable. First time I used the word, how bashable they are. Number 4. What is my number 4? Oh yeah, this actually maybe should be further up. I picked Survivors of Lake Town. Now you're probably thinking this is an outlier. It's not evil and it's not got a unifying factor by their nature. They're kind of ragtag, but they are they're a horde army, and so that encourages kind of bashing either of the kind of the official models or bringing in lots of different models. So there's Perry Miniatures Russian peasants from the Napoleonic times, which look just like them. If you change the weapon style to be a bit more Middle-earthy as opposed to Napoleonic, they fit, they match perfectly. Yeah, exactly, the fur-lined hats. There's another example is the Fireforge Games Peasant Rabble, I think it's called, and they match perfectly as well. And there's a host of different kind of weapon types, but what I decided to do, so I needed some crossbows, so I bought some Landsknecht, who are the Swiss mercenaries of the kind of Renaissance, and they've got very flamboyant kind of clothing with kind of tears in them and slits in them and stuff. And
they got style.
They do have style. They have style. You have to have style because I decided to make a few kind of more wealthy merchants, because you would have a few. It wouldn't just be one dude like the master, like that's wealthy, like they show in the films. There would be more people who are a little bit more affluent. So I've done, yeah, exactly. I've done a few of them. Maybe they're travelling in, and I've also done using some spare bodies for Mongol kind of infantry, which has a kind of fur-lined cloak, coat like Bard does. So they match quite well, I think. So I've got kind of the poor people and some kind of wealthier, maybe aristocratic or merchant type people just to show how diverse and also, just a side note, you could use, obviously, some Lake Dale. If you want to just do GW, you could use Army of Dale, because they nick weapons and armor from Dale, so these ones just happen to find more. Yeah, easy peasy. There's so much opportunity. So I think, even though I'm contradicting myself with the rules of what I've kind of outlined it's because there's so much opportunity to kitbash.
Always good to get those miniatures from outside GW as well.
Yes.
Save some money.
Precisely. I'm convinced I'm on some kind of watch list for making my best conversion biz.
Yeah.
Do you want to go with your number 3 and why?
Yeah. So my number 3 ties in nicely with using outside GW Arnor. Because really, if you want an Arnor army, you're gonna have to go outside of GW, or spend a lot of money on eBay if anyone's selling them. So you got that's the only way you're gonna get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Accessibility.
Precisely. But yeah, I think you're right. It's very bashable. If you get some Minas Tirith warriors and some historicals and bash them together, they'll look great. To be fair.
Yeah, and also you've got a bit of choice as well, because you've got 3 once it splinters, Dane, Rudour, Cardland. You've got options to do a bit of different things there. A bit more of an evil one for the bastards in Rudour.
Misunderstood. As an Angmar player, they misunderstood me. Cool. My number 3 was a combination of Mordor / Angmar, simply because they do. I'll use the kind of Angmar narrative from earlier, but for Mordor it's more of the same really. I think orcs are so bashable that between all their kits together, the metal orcs, the plastic orcs, the Moria orcs, you bash them all together. They're so bashable. And you can make them ragtag. There's a if we're doing shout outs, there's an amazing guy, is it called the Original Orc? Have you seen his stuff?
Oh yeah. I was going to mention it. If we were going to talk orcs, you've got to mention him.
He's so good. And it's it's a shout out, Original Orc. Love to have you on the show. Apparently it's the show I'm doing now. He's great.
The individuality of each orc just nails it. Changes face there, bit of armor there.
Yeah. For my offering, I don't know what I'd probably show the Cirith Ungol orcs I've got, which are kind of have the Minas Tirith Angmar, Minas Tirith armor, kind of pilfered look. I could show some Black Numenorians I made for the Black Numenorian army I made. I could show a few, just Mordor in particular, just because we've covered Angmar so much. Mordor, it's one of the armies that's so convertible. There's just so much you can do. What's your number 2 and why?
So we're still in the Gondorian kind of Minas Tirith with some fiefdoms. Because I know that you've got some experience with that as well.
A little bit, yeah.
Again, get back Minas Tirith, soldier, good old standard, and just take away, add a bit of air from other miniatures, and you've got, I think the map's got, look at all that land, all those options. Some what are covered in the miniatures already, or just make your own up from ones that aren't represented. It's just the accessibility of having that base model to work from, add another helmet on it, and then you've got a fiefdom.
That's the same as mine. I guess I can talk about it as well. That's my number 2 as well. Fiefdoms is my number 2 as well. It's for those reasons. I don't think I could put it much better than that, to be honest. It's if you get firstly, the opportunities there. They're metal or forge wheel. They're expensive models. If you get me Minas Tirith, which I'm doing, which I have, and you get me some historicals, I can make you all of them. So, and just how bashful this is, right? I didn't intend to do this, but because I started, I couldn't stop. I realized how easy it is to do this. So I was just gonna. I was like, oh, I'll just change the look of some Axemen of Lossark just to make them look different. Change the poses up, right? So I did some head swaps with some chainmail and helmets, kind of covering their face. Yeah, covering their face, and it looks alright. And then an opportunity landed in my lap. There's a Byzantine Knights sprue that my brother brought, and their lances are abnormally long, And I was like, those are pike lancers. So I've made 6 men-at-arms as well by kitbashing Gondorians with Perry miniatures and these Byzantine Fireforge Games lances. And then unreleased miniatures do a sprue of Knights of Dalameroth, and there's loads of spares, so I just bashed a whole load of Knights of Dalameroth using Minas Tirith. I didn't mean to do it, but it just sort of happened. You know, after a few
That's
weeks,
how easy converting fiefdoms is. You can accidentally do it.
yeah, exactly. I accidentally made an army. I wanted just one warband. I've kind of made an entire army. That's how accessible
it
it
builds.
is. Yeah. And I suppose the kind of opportunity there, as you say, the historical opportunity there is rife. It's really rife for the picking, really.
You get way more miniatures for much less price as well.
So again, great minds think alike. I think we both put them in the same place.
Yeah. So number 1 is Moria.
Oh mate, no way, same here. So our number 1 and number 2 are the same.
You haven't said Moria yet. I wonder if that's going to be his number 1.
Yeah.
Well, the most fun reason would be the Balrogs, but I've already made a couple. Like, you've got this guy.
Very cool.
It's the options you can do, and it's a great base model from Minas Miniatures. Already got the armour on his arms, bit of green stuff to make a helmet. I think it was a 2-handed axe when it started, but getting that whip, and it's just, barrels is just so fun to make.
Yeah, I agree. I think the reason why I put more in, the kind of how bashable a kind of army is, kind of what I say, how it's those kind of 3 things, and I couldn't escape the fact that Moria had all of them. So the fact that evil, it makes it a lot easier in my mind to kind of bash them together.
You can be a bit messy.
You can be a bit messy, and that definitely helps the kind of creativity. The fact that there is a lot of options. They got loads of troops, way more than are kind of explored in the books or the films, really. And they do have that kind of jagged armor, right? And they're kind of very recognizable as that race of particular type of orcs, right? Those kind of Moria goblins, different to
even
goblins.
the size.
Yes,
it's a bit more stout over.
Yeah, different to Goblin Town goblins, different to Mordor orcs. They're very unique. So what you can do is you take that kind of base model, the miniature, you give it an axe, suddenly you got a prowler.
Yeah, a bit of a hood.
Yeah, you give it a fur cape, suddenly it's a black shield, and I've done that. So I'll probably show a few. I need to update them, but I've got a few old conversions I did of black shields and of prowlers and of warg marauders as well. Going back to your orc captain, the bow-legged, all of them for some reason are bow-legged. They're like stand like this.
Yeah.
You can just plonk them.
Paper clip them.
Yeah.
Pop them on.
Exactly.
Actually got
oh, nice. Yes. Yeah.
those three there.
Yeah.
Actually got a couple actually, because from the base models, just Moria goblins, accessibility. You go on eBay, they're just everywhere. You can buy a set of 14, a bit of 12, always cheaper than buying the boxes. But then even probably from GW, you get so many in there. I think you get 8 of each. More, I think 8 spear, 8 sword and shield, 8 archers.
Yeah.
And then if you want a hero, Groblog, that's just a normal sword and shield, but I popped a leg into the shield spot.
That's so good.
Then just a bit of sprue. I really need, I'm gonna redo him because I don't know if it'll focus on his head, but that's just a bit of sprue with a blue dot on it.
That's cool, man. The silhouette, because I saw it out of focus because of the webcam. I was like, that's Groblog. I thought it was the original model for a sec. because the silhouette.
Yeah, I don't know. On the table, it's got the statue little rock thingies on. It does make him easier to hit if you're doing line of sight, but
yeah, that's cool.
Redoing him.
Excellent. Yeah, so I agree. It's such a great army if you want to start throwing kitbashers. One of my ones I've done is quite weird because we've kind of done. It just shows you we've done basically the same conversions for a lot of stuff. But
our journeys met at the same point.
Yeah, exactly. The one Moria thing I've done that is quite weird, and I'll have to update the paint job, but there's one thing I like. I don't know if I stole this from someone, I can't remember. But there's, because Gandalf goes in, and obviously, spoilers if you haven't seen it, he dies there. Gandalf the Grey dies there. He goes in with a pointy hat, doesn't he? And you never see him with a pointy hat again. And so,
I blame Pippin.
I blame Pippin too. But there's for the magic users, like the shamans and stuff, I've made a Black Shield shaman with Gandalf's hat. So it's like he's taking it, and that's what makes him the shaman. He's like, I have a hat, I have a wizard's hat.
A wizard's hat.
Yeah, and I like that he's like, maybe people are just playing along. Like if he's a normal shaman, he's just saying stuff, and they go, oh, it's magic. I'm Fury now. You know what I mean? He's like, they're just playing along with him. So you can do all these quirky things with Moria. That is such a fun army to go throw yourself into. So Moria, a well-deserved winner of the of the best army to convert. If you made it this far in the video, thank you very much for watching. What did you think of the top 5s? Let us know how wrong we are or how right we are in the comments below. If this is your first time here, please subscribe, and also subscribe to Quite Cool if you haven't. If you have any ideas for any other top 5s you'd like to see, please let me know. I'm Joe from Windrush Wargamers. Thank you very much for watching, and with any luck I will catch you in the next one.